I'd never been in a service, so it didn't bother me till after I got there. Then I said, ain't no way I would have volunteered to come in here with you guys, where you guys treating us now. Oh, they put some hurt on you. Oh, I was born in Mississippi. My grandfather had 5 sons, so my father had quite a few kids, 9 of us, sisters and brothers. When I moved to Chicago as a teenager, I, ended up at the draft board in Chicago. Yeah. At the draft board, they put you where they needed you. They had the Army, Navy, Marine Corps at the recruiting station, and they picked over you like you was a breakfast. I mean, I want you, I want you, I want you, whatever, We were stationed at Montfort's Point, and that was the Marine Corps training area for the Black Marines. So that's the reason why they sent you out to Camp Lejeune. That's the only camp that they had Black Marines at the time. See? I wouldn't have went in the Marine Corps. I mean, if I had to volunteer. I was in there the first year that they start training them, all right. Anyway, when you were drafted into the Marine Corps, the drill instructors would train you hard enough to make you quit. That was the idea. They didn't want you in the Marine Corps anyway, in the first place. So they, when I said they put some hurt on you, they train you from dusk to dawn. They put some hurt on you. We'd drill at night, go maybe 25, 30 miles, and then come back. By daylight, we'd drill all night in some cases. In the winter, they'd drill you into the water when it's frozen, and you'd go out there till it get up here, and before they gave you order to come out, and you'd run around till you dry that suit. But I mean, it was make you break you. Yeah, you won't go home to mama. So that's what it was all about. That's what they'll tell you too. It ain't no way you can, we could use you in the Marine Corps because you don't have enough stamina. Shipped out with the 7th Ammo from Norfolk. Once they ship you out to go overseas, they sent you to Guadalcanal at the time, and for jungle warfare. When I went over there, I was an expert mortarman, an expert rifleman, and all this stuff. I was with the 1st Marine Division then. They attached you to a division. Once you got overseas, you was mixed with everybody. They didn't separate you then. You go wherever the hell they send you. They didn't care what color you were.
Delayed action bombs helped to neutralize prepared positions above our troops. Corsairs of the 2nd Marine Aircraft Wing, operating from a nearby airfield, attacked Bloody Nose Ridge.
The first one was Peleliu. That was the first one that I went on, and then come back to Guam once the island was secured.
Tanks and Marine infantrymen hold precarious positions in the valley. Above them, the Jap waits in Gibraltar-like caves.
It was terrible. We was just as bad too. I mean, as far as the soldiers is concerned, I mean, you wasn't trying to capture anybody. Everybody you see, you want to kill them. You know, that's the only way to survive, just about, you know. Yeah, you got no choice. I mean, in order to survive yourself, you got to kill somebody. You would stay up on the island, up on the line for 3 days.
The greatest United States force ever assembled in the Pacific closes on Iwo Jima. 800 ships and thousands of small landing craft head for the island.
They had 2 or 3 other groups sitting in the water. Iwo Jima was 3rd and the 5th Marine Division, and they had the 1st. We were sitting out in the water on the ship for maybe a week or 2 while they were taking that island. The islands at that time, when they said they secured, they just mean they didn't have no official troops on there, but there was a whole lot of Japanese still, you know, back in the jungles on the islands. And they needed food, and they'd come down and raid your your supplies, you know, at night in different places. So you sleep and think that you're in a tent now, and the war is, you know, away from you. But they had to come down and try to find some food and stuff. And you get a lot of people who got killed that way. You learn how to survive. That's my biggest lesson. I mean, survive in civilian life as well as in the service. Oh, I shipped home from Japan. They shipped me from Sasebo, Japan. We was on the beach in Sasebo waiting for our ship to come in to bring us back to San Francisco. That's where I came back to, come in at San Francisco at Treasure Island. It took a week. You know, they put us on a troop train, and it stopped everywhere. It pulled off the side, yeah, and they'd have USO people come on. It took a week to get to Chicago. And then you didn't get discharged, you know, you took a while before you got discharged, you know. Only thing I had to do was take the streetcar and go home. I went there, and all the people in the block, you know, they had a party for me. I started work as soon as I got back in Chicago. Jack of all trades then, a little carpenter work, a little plumbing, a little electricity, whatever. So I ended up doing that in Chicago. The service, I knew how to drive tractors and what have you, all that stuff. So I ended up as a driving instructor at the post office for the 18-wheelers, and I think I worked at the post office 27 years, 26, 27 years. Margie, she worked at the post office too. She was in charge of safety. She was a safety officer, and I was in charge of the drivers. Margie had a review board, and when they had a review, I had to go over there to meet with them, and she said I was always late, but getting over there. Anyway, that's how we ended up meeting. She wasn't accepting my proposals at all, you know, so it's fine to work out. Margie and I have been married for over 50 years now, you know, so Margie and I have 5 children, 13 grandkids. We got 4 great-grandkids. One of my sons was drafted and sent to Vietnam, and then my grandson, he was in Desert Storm. Well, I love my country, you know, it was great to serve. Make me feel proud when they say you're the greatest generation. We all getting old. I mean, I think I'm blessed to be 93.
I knew the minute I finished high school, I was to go into the service, and that's the way it happened. And there wasn't any break. They're just waiting for you. I was born November 18th, 1925 in Topeka, Kansas. Went to high school at Topeka High, and I was a mid-termer, and I graduated towards the end of February 1944. I graduated on a Friday, and by the next Monday I was being drafted, and I was at Fort Leavenworth being inducted into the Army. And from there, Fort Leavenworth, I eventually was moved out to Camp Roberts in California for 17 weeks of basic training, which was sorely needed by high school kids like me who didn't know anything about anything as far as the military goes. We left, I think, left Boston on September 29th and was on a USS Exchequer. We landed in Scotland in October. 1st of November, we went across the channel to Le Havre, France. They loaded us on the trucks and started moving us towards where the action was in Belgium and all. And we spent quite a few nights, probably 2 or 3 nights in the trucks. One of the things that was very obvious, it's going to be a cold, rainy, snowy winter. We got clear up close to the front line, the front being the Siegfried Line in Germany. The Siegfried Line, in case you don't know, is concrete with pillboxes and all. But we relieved the 9th Division, who were holding ground. We couldn't dig foxholes because of the snow and rain, and so we slept under our tents. Not put up the tents, just a tarp, like throwing a tarp over your head. And you'd go to sleep, you wake up, you're covered with snow. That's the kind of weather we had all the time. I was a rifleman and a bazooka man. Occasionally you would get the word to shoot, fire over there, stir things up, which was about all our purpose in life was. On the night of December 16th, we could sense a little more activity, a little more artillery barrages and something else going on, and we saw one pilot had escaped from a plane. He was floating down, and we shot him and all. It was kind of hectic, and we didn't know what was going on, but that was the start of the Battle of the Bulge. The buzz bombs went over to on their way to England, and that would sound like a Model T Ford going over. It was like a lot of noise, and occasionally they wouldn't go very far and then land in the front lines. And I think we lost one person from a buzz bomb. We were told to get ready to retreat, to move out and go back, move away from the lines. So we had a substitute commander, and that kind of helped the confusion. The situation at the time was very, very foggy, cloudy, snowy, and everything else. So we didn't know exactly what we're doing, but we were ready to move out. We got close to the house. We could see a house in the fog and all, and he said, well, you go take that house. I can still see visually the German had the gun shooting it around the corner, and I can see that, and the guy next to me was hit. And that's when we all realized we were overwhelmed, and we gave up. And so that was our capture. And the next day, they took us out and started marching us. And we had heard all these stories about prisoners of war being shot. It was true stories. And we were marching out. There was an embankment of sandbags and all. We could see ourselves lined up on that embankment and being mowed down. But fortunately, we kept on marching by that. We got another train, and we eventually got to Hammelburg. It's a fairly small little town, but they had a prison camp there called 13C. I was given the opportunity to write a letter in prison camp in Hammelburg by the Red Cross involved, and I sent a letter home. And they heard about me being a prisoner of war from me before it was officially notified that I was a prisoner of war. From Hammelburg, they'd take the train into Würzburg. And one thing I remember clearly was I could see this woman across from me kept looking at me. When the train stopped and she was getting off, she handed me a sack and left. And I looked inside and I had a sack of cookies. It was quite a sensation to have somebody give you something to eat. And I've always figured out what it was that woman. Was she looking at me and thinking that's just like her son that she lost or something like that? We had been bombed a couple of times, and we'd always go to the air raid shelter, which was nearby. And we hated to do that, to get up, and that's when you're trying to get some sleep. There were double bunks, and you could hang yourself underneath the bed, and they couldn't tell where you were. You were just hidden. On this one night, the air raid alert came again, and everybody to go to the shelters, and my buddy and I decided, well, this night we're not going to stay in bed. So we hid out. And the next thing we knew, we had an incendiary bomb came through the roof of this big building and exploded right near us, and we ran down to the one end of the building. It started getting worse and worse, and it was major bombing, and pretty soon the whole building collapsed, and the only wall left standing was the wall we were crouching against, and we were praying at the top of our lungs and thought that was going to be the end. And then March 30th was a very heavy raid, and really the air raid shelters, everything was being bombed, and ammunition on some of the rail cars were going also. We had to be moved out, and we were all taken to the hills, and we moved out of town. As the Americans got closer and closer, the guards decided, it's about over. So on the 28th of April, they decided that was it, and they put up white flags in this little house. I think the guards were as happy as we were to be able to quit this thing. So we waited for transportation, something to happen, and as I say, the 86th was there in their armored divisions, and we were all very happy. On the 3rd of May, they flew us out, on C-47s to Le Havre, Camp Lucky Strike. On May 8th, we were boarded the USS Brazil, and we landed in New York on May 24th and made my first phone call home. So they sent me to Fort Leavenworth, the Command and General Staff School, and I became a cartographical draftsman and served my time. I went to K-State. I knew I wanted to be an architect. Got enrolled in architecture. I got 2 degrees in 3 years, and I got married in 1948. My wife was a Topeka girl also, but I didn't meet her until she was dating a roommate of mine in college. And she and I started doing lots of talking, laying out on the grass in front of Anderson Hall. So we learned that we were meant for each other, and it was a fabulous relationship she and I had. Emily and I had 2 boys, Mike and Kent. Mike was born in '49 and Kent was born in 1952. She had ovarian cancer, and she had repaired about 2.5, 3 years. She got over it, we thought, and we had a good year. And then it was obvious that she was given the information and that it was going to happen at the hospital. So we brought her home and set up a hospital bed here in the living room, and I brought my recliner out that I could lay down on, and I stayed with her every night. And she passed away in July 12th, 2005, and I was holding her hand as she passed. She was a great, great person in many, many ways, and she was a sweetheart, and I obviously miss her. September '49, I joined Butler Manufacturing Company. Still am doing patent work for them as a consultant, so I have been an employee or a consultant for 66 years. I enjoy landscape work and growing plants, trying different things. I got into conifers back in the 80s when I was trying to do some redesign and change the yard a little bit. Joined the American Conifer Society in '83 or '84, and I wrote an article for their bulletin called "Yes, Dorothy, There Are Conifers in Kansas." I'm most proud of the fact that I managed to come through some horrible situations. Not that I was contributing anything while I was a prisoner of war, but the fact that I came through it all right, in good shape, and did what I was asked to do. The phrase that we all use, freedom is not free, and it took a lot of sacrifices by many, many people in both the services and on the home front. The interesting thing was the fact that my mother wrote a letter to me every day, even before I was, before I was prisoner over there. Every day she wrote me a letter. Well, most of them came back. In fact, I've got a box in there full of letters. And I think, well, I'm going to read those. And I can't. I just get choked up because I feel so sorry for my mother. People ask us, do we have any hard feelings, any animosity against the Germans? And I say definitely not. You could tell from the little cookie experience and some later on experiences I had with people throwing bread at you. The German people were all right. It's just the government and the military had the problems. So they were good people.